This channel presents the farce called gender equality, an outcome of unchecked misconceptions. Welcome to our channel, dedicated to exploring the intricacies of gender equality and seeking better solutions that promote a broader and more collective good. We're passionate about diving deep into this vital topic and sparking meaningful conversations. Today, we'll be examining the United Nations perspective on the importance of gender equality, defining key terms, and discussing the obstacles that stand in the way. But we believe that critical thinking is just as important as knowledge. So we'll also be questioning some of the assumptions and flaws in the current approach. Join us as we navigate this complex and vital topic. Gender equality isn't just a buzzword. It's a total game changer for sustainable development and human rights, according to the United Nations. Seriously, when we dive into the benefits, we're talking about a whole range of improvements. Imagine economic growth, better health outcomes, and enhanced education for everyone. Studies show that achieving gender equality could potentially add a staggering $12 trillion to the global economy by 2025. That is not just a number. It could mean millions of new jobs, increased GDP, and a boost in innovation and growth. Plus, think about how it improves health outcomes and education, especially for girls. And don't forget about political representation and workplace equality. Can you believe the impact this could have? It's absolutely mind-blowing. The United Nations article on gender equality is a vital provision that aims to promote equal rights and opportunities for all genders. However, not every country supports this charter. For instance, countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the United States have raised concerns regarding various aspects of the United Nations gender equality agenda. Saudi Arabia, for example, argues that some provisions contradict their cultural and religious values, believing that gender roles are inherently different and should be respected as part of their tradition. They emphasize the importance of family structures and argue that the United Nations framework might undermine these traditional roles. Similarly, Iran has expressed skepticism, claiming that the United Nations' focus on gender equality can lead to westernization and the erosion of Islamic values. They argue that gender roles in their society are rooted in their cultural identity, and any push for equality should be aligned with their religious beliefs. The United States has had a complicated relationship with the United Nations Gender Equality Charter. While it supports many aspects of gender equality, some policymakers argue against certain measures that they believe could infringe on individual rights or state sovereignty. They often express concerns that the charter might impose obligations that conflict with local laws or cultural norms. These arguments highlight the ongoing debate surrounding gender equality on a global scale. Each country has its unique perspective, shaped by cultural, religious, and political factors, leading to a diverse range of interpretations of what gender equality should look like in practice. It's essential to consider these viewpoints as we navigate the complexities of gender rights worldwide. But here's where it gets a bit sticky. Some folks argue that if we only focus on the economic perks, we're missing the bigger picture. Equality and human rights have their own intrinsic value, right? So, the big question is, should we be pushing for gender equality just to create a fairer society? Or is it really all about boosting economic growth? And what about the clever strategies being used around the globe to actually achieve gender equality? Are they really effective? Or are we just going through the motions? What do you think? It's such an important conversation, and it impacts all of us. Let's dive into some key concepts that are super important when it comes to gender equality, okay? We're talking about gender equality, gender equity, and intersectionality. These ideas really matter, but here's the kicker. People often oversimplify or misunderstand them. What do these terms really mean? Let's break it down a bit. Gender isn't just about being male or female. It's about the roles, behaviors, and identities that society thinks are suitable for each. Think about how we often associate certain colors, toys, or even careers with gender. Pretty wild, right? Now, gender equality is all about making sure everyone gets the same rights and opportunities, no matter if you're a guy, girl, or identify differently. It's like saying, hey, everyone deserves a fair shot. But here is where it gets interesting. Gender equity recognizes that not everyone starts from the same place. For instance, some folks might need extra support to level the playing field. Imagine a classroom where boys and girls have different learning styles. Equity would mean providing resources that cater to those differences so everyone can thrive. Cultural biases can really shape our understanding of these concepts too. In some cultures, traditional gender roles are deeply ingrained, making it tougher to achieve true equality and equity. So, it's not just about the definitions. It's about how they play out in our everyday lives. How do you see these ideas reflected in your world? In Nigeria and many other African countries, the whole idea of gender equality has really taken a weird turn. It's almost like it's been hijacked. Women, regardless of whether they're truly qualified, often get pushed into leadership roles just to say, "Look, we're promoting equality." But honestly, it feels like a cover-up for the deeper issue of corrupt leadership thriving in this shaky authoritarian democracy. Take a look around, and you might notice women getting appointed to high positions just to check a box, while actual skills and qualifications get tossed aside. It's super frustrating, right? Instead of genuinely empowering talented women, it sometimes feels like it is just a way to keep things the same. Say, for example, you might see someone with a stellar track record overlooked in favor of someone who fits a certain quota. This not only undermines the real fight for women's rights, but also creates a cycle of mediocrity that we desperately need to break. What we really need is a focus on true equality where women can rise based on their skills, talents, and contributions, not just because of some twisted idea of fairness. It's time to shake things up. What are your thoughts on this situation? Do you see this happening too? Now, let's chat about intersectionality. This concept, which often gets overlooked, is crucial for understanding how various forms of discrimination overlap. For instance, a woman of color might face different challenges than a white woman or a man of color, right? According to the uni, grasping these nuances can help us create a more inclusive and equitable society. So, let's break it down together and explore how we can make a real difference. Common challenges? Oh, you bet there are some. The United Nations has pointed out a bunch of hurdles in the way of achieving gender equality, like stereotyping and bias, lack of representation, violence and harassment, and the sad reality of limited access to education and healthcare. We definitely need to chat about these issues and brainstorm solutions. But let's not forget the complexities that come with each one. Take this statistic from the United Nations. 1 in 5 women worldwide have faced physical or sexual violence. Shocking, right? But hold up, this figure doesn't even touch on the sexual violence that men experience, whether they report it or not. Think about it. Societal expectations often paint men as invulnerable, making it tough for them to speak up. This creates a messy web of stereotypes that keeps this cycle going. In many cultures, there's this pervasive idea that vulnerability equals weakness, which really complicates how we navigate tough situations. Take, for example, the heartbreaking reality for some men in certain communities who report being assaulted. Instead of receiving support, they might face ridicule or be labeled as less of a man. That's such a tough spot to be in, right? Cultural diversity brings with it a myriad of challenges, especially when it comes to understanding violence and victimhood in different communities. Each community has its own unique norms and values that shape perceptions. For instance, in some regions, caste-based discrimination can create a chilling effect, making it nearly impossible for individuals to speak out against injustices they face. In others, honor-based violence casts a long shadow, silencing those who dare to challenge deeply ingrained societal expectations. Take female genital mutilation (FGM), for example. This practice affects millions of women around the globe, from Africa to the Middle East, creating barriers that prevent them from asserting their rights or sharing their experiences. In communities where FGM is prevalent, the fear of ostracism can be overwhelming. Women often feel trapped between tradition and their desire for autonomy, making it crucial for us to foster open dialogues that respect cultural nuances while advocating for change. Understanding these complexities is vital if we truly want to address the roots of violence and support those who are affected. Let's not forget the unique struggles faced by Indigenous, LGBTQ+, and refugee or migrant communities. Each of these groups has its own set of challenges that can often leave them feeling marginalized and unheard. For instance, indigenous communities frequently battle against cultural erasure and land rights issues, while LGBTQ+ individuals may face discrimination and violence simply for being who they are. Refugees and migrants often endure the heart-wrenching experience of leaving their homes behind, facing xenophobia and barriers in their new countries. It's high time we unravel this tangled mess and create a world where everyone feels safe and heard, don't you think? Together, we can foster understanding and compassion, paving the way for a more inclusive society where everyone's voice matters. Imagine the beauty of a world where our differences are celebrated rather than shunned. The United Nations has done some pretty amazing work pushing for gender equality, but let's be real, there are some gaps in their approach that we can't ignore. One big issue is that a lot of their initiatives focus mainly on empowering women. Sure, that's super important. But what about the experiences and needs of men and non-binary folks? It sometimes feels like the message is that gender equality means women need to rise above men, rather than working together to create a fair playing field for everyone. Another thing to think about is the Western bias that often sneaks into United Nations programs. Not every culture operates the same way, right? This can lead to initiatives that just don't fit well in certain places, making them less effective or even harmful. For example, a program that works in the US might flop in a different country because it doesn't take local customs and challenges into account. Take education initiatives, for instance. In some cultures, community-based learning is far more effective than a rigid classroom structure. A program designed for a Western audience might overlook the importance of family involvement in education, which can be crucial in many societies. Similarly, health campaigns that push for individual responsibility without considering community dynamics may miss the mark entirely. It's essential to remember that what works in one context can be completely out of touch in another, leading to frustration and disengagement. We really need to focus on understanding and respecting the rich tapestry of global cultures to create initiatives that genuinely resonate with people. What do you think? And then there's the whole intersectionality piece. It's not just about gender. We've got to look at how issues like racism and homophobia mix together. When the United Nations treats gender equality as a standalone issue, it can overlook how these different forms of discrimination impact people's lives in ways that are deeply connected. Let's dive into the whole intersectionality thing, okay? It's way more than just gender issues. We really need to consider how things like racism and homophobia intertwine. Think about it. When the United Nations treats gender equality like it's a solo act, it totally misses how these different types of discrimination mess with people's lives in such interconnected ways. For instance, a black woman might face unique challenges that a white woman or a black man wouldn't. Picture this: a Latina trans woman trying to navigate job opportunities. She's not just battling gender bias, she's also facing racial stereotypes and transphobia. It's like this complex puzzle, right? Each piece matters. Now, think about women with disabilities, who often face additional hurdles like inaccessible workplaces or the stigma that they can't perform certain tasks. And what about racial and ethnic minorities? They might deal with cultural biases that can affect hiring decisions, leaving them at a disadvantage. Low-income communities also struggle, often lacking access to resources like education and networking that can open doors. To make real change happen, we've got to tackle all these pieces together, not just pick and choose. We need to amplify voices from all walks of life, recognizing how their experiences shape their realities. Imagine creating mentorship programs specifically designed for these groups, where they can share their stories and support each other. Only then can we hope to create a truly inclusive society that uplifts everyone, not just a select few. It's all about building bridges, not walls, and ensuring that every individual has a fair shot at success. Promoting a more nuanced and effective approach to gender equality is absolutely essential, and there are some really impactful ways we can do this together. First off, educating ourselves and others about the complexities of gender equality and intersectionality is a game changer. For example, understanding how race, class, and gender intersect can help us see the bigger picture, right? Supporting organizations that champion this intersectional approach is key too. Think about groups that focus on the unique challenges faced by women of color or LGBTQ+ individuals. These voices need to be amplified. Advocating for policies that tackle the root causes of disparities, like access to education and healthcare, is also crucial. And let's not forget personal responsibility. We can all take small steps in our daily lives to challenge our own biases, whether that's calling out discriminatory behavior or simply promoting inclusivity and respect in our conversations. When we shift our mindset to embrace a more holistic view of gender equality, we not only uplift individuals but also create a ripple effect that can transform entire communities. It's about making sure everyone feels seen and valued. What do you think? How can we all contribute to this important change? Creating gender equality isn't just a simple task. It's a journey we're all on together. Let's join forces to build a world that truly recognizes and embraces the many layers and intricacies of this important issue. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. How do you envision a fairer society? And while you're at it, why not get creative? Share a cool concept name that could replace gender equality. Let's brainstorm together.